bondage. We are caged by our likes and dislikes and our conditioning, and we find our comfort, right? We even feel the gratitude for the ones who cater to us, correct? The burning need to liberate ourselves is missing. Like in a cage, the bird feels actually protected. In such a case, how is it possible to liberate oneself? So the question is, a human being complacent by nature, complacent because of certain comforts, whatever it is. How is it possible for a person to liberate oneself? Liberation as a goal you can fix, or anybody can fix liberation as a goal for themselves only when there is a sufficient inner maturity. In the beginning, it is the Shastra that keeps saying, that is the knowledge that keeps saying, moksha is your goal. Shastra keeps drumming it in that moksha is your goal, moksha is your goal, moksha is your goal. And a person who is not matured will think moksha is another form of security. Therefore, the person says, I want moksha because wealth gives me security, family gives me security. Similarly, moksha also will give me. So, of all the various factors that gives security, moksha becomes another added factor. So, for a person to liberate oneself, you got to fix moksha as your goal. And the way to fix moksha as your goal comes through an inner maturity. And what is the inner maturity? The inner maturity is doing dedicated actions, carefully follow, not before doing, after doing. After doing dedicated actions with full of Shraddha, you will realize that what you are looking for, you aren't getting. One is understanding it through somebody teaching. Whatever you do, it's not going to result. One, that is not your conviction as yet. So since it is not yet your conviction, moksha will never become a goal for you. Though you may appreciate somebody else's analysis, though you may appreciate somebody else's explanation, moksha will never become your goal. Then how does one do that? Constantly practice teaching, constantly practice this teaching of mine with Shraddha. It means Karma Yoga has to be done with full of Shraddha. When we say Karma Yoga, gratitude, Karma Yoga, all are connected to doing. Gratitude is doing. Karma Yoga is doing. Is it the attitude of service or doing actually service?
Doing.
It's doing the service. It's not just the attitude. Or doing is the proof of the attitude being there. The very doing is the proof that your attitude is there. Otherwise, it's so easy to say, I have an attitude, but what, sir, I cannot do. What to do? My situation is like that I cannot do. But I have the attitude. Everybody, the attitude becomes a very conducive thought not to do. So, for inner maturity, for moksha to be, for you to have moksha as a goal, what you need to do? You need to do Karma Yoga. After doing Karma Yoga, and obviously how to do it? How do you do Karma Yoga? With Shraddha. With Shraddha you do. And what is Karma Yoga? Two types of karmas. Ishta karma, Purta karma, they say. Ishtam, Purtam. Ishtam means Drishtapalam. Purta means Adrishtapalam. Drishtapalam means somebody is hungry. You give them a food, their hunger is satisfied. You see the result of your actions directly. In some service, the result of your action is seen directly. In some actions, the result of your actions will not be seen directly. Are you okay till now? Shraddha is not required where you can see the result directly. You don't need Shraddha because you are seeing it directly. No. Somebody is hungry, you give food, and that person's hunger is appeased. Would you call it as Shraddha? You cannot call it as Shraddha because it is direct. Somebody is standing in the rain, you give an umbrella, there is an immediate, you see the result. So one kind of karma yoga, you see the result. Another kind is where you don't see the result. When we say we don't see the result, what we mean? There is a result. Definitely there is a result, but the connection between doing and the result is so spread out that you will not be able to connect. Again, I repeat, Adrishtapala doesn't come for anywhere else. Adrishtapala also come from your karma only. What is the difference? In one, the doing and the result is immediate. In another, doing and the result is, there is a time gap between doing and the result. Where there is a time gap between doing and the result, what will inspire you to do? What will motivate you to do? Shraddha. That's why he says here, in verse number 31, you quoted, this is where Shraddha comes into play. Shraddha comes into play only in relation to Adrishta. Shraddha does not come into play in relation to Drishta. Now, the karma pala is Adrishta. The benefits that you are going to get is also Adrishta, and that is going to get exhausted is also Adrishta. Again, I repeat, when it comes to Adrishta karma, the karma is Drishta. You doing is Drishta. The result is Adrishta. And the punya that you enjoy will get exhausted is also Adrishta. Why? Because, first of all, the karma pala itself we don't understand. And then that karma pala is going to diminish is also much more difficult to comprehend. Then how will a person understand the futility of all this to ask for moksha? Are you able to follow? Unless you go through this process, you cannot fix moksha as the goal. From where you are directly, you can never fix moksha as the goal. You can fix moksha as the goal, but it will not be motivating. You are right. There will be a complacency in relation to moksha. Why? Because that gap. What is that gap? That karma producing that inner maturity. Another way of gaining maturity is by recognizing constantly the temporary aspect of everything. There are two ways. And Vedanta recommends both should be done simultaneously. One is you do karma pala, adrishta, etc. Shraddha. Another is as you are doing anything and everything, you understand the temporary nature of everything. The moment you understand the temporary nature of it, then the question comes, what is permanent? Somebody gives an answer, this is permanent, and you get satisfied and go back. That is not liberation. When we say what is permanent, it means ready to pay the price for that permanency. Not knowing, simply knowing this is how, this is moksha, this is all it can be done. No. Willing to pay the price. If you can meet one person in your generation who's willing to pay the price, we are all lucky to have been born in that generation, to have met such a person. Because you don't get that in, you don't get all this so, you don't get all this so easy. Not to get disillusioned, but to understand that, yes, there is a price to be paid and I'm willing to pay that price. So, the bird in the cage feels protected. The bird in the cage feels protected. As long as it doesn't realize that it is a bird. The moment it realizes that it is a bird, it will be suffocated in that cage. It will be very comfortable in the cage. As long as it doesn't understand that it's a bird. You follow, Anshu? Yeah. That's the answer. Yes, it will be very comfortable. As long as it doesn't recognize that it's a bird. It's a bird, it has wings and it can fly. As long as it doesn't realize that, it will be happy. Or brainwashing would have been done so deeply that it forgot that it's the bird. That is what ignorance is. Are you able to follow? Ignorance is so deep that the bird forgets that it's a bird. The moment it realizes that it is the bird, it will starve to death inside the cage, but it will not take the next. It will not take the next to feed. It will not take the fruit. It will not take what you give. It will die. It will die of starvation in the cave because it is an inexplicable suffocation. It is an inexplicable suffocation. What is a suffocation? What it can do and what it is doing, that contrast. You follow? Therefore, liberation is an inner maturity that arises only when Karma Yoga is practiced with Shraddha. Only when Karma Yoga is practiced with Shraddha, there is an inner maturity. And that inner maturity alone will take a person to moksha. When you are doing Karma Yoga, what is your goal? Carefully follow. When you are doing Karma Yoga, you should say, Chitta Shuddhi is the goal. Self-purification is the goal. What in the modern day language of Vedanta? Self-development. Isn't it? They don't use the word Chitta Shuddhi and all. They don't use the word self-purification and all. They use the word self-development. Self-development, self-realization. All means this self-development, self-purification, Chitta Shuddhi, all means the same. Chitta Shuddhi for what? Chitta Shuddhi so that I can understand Vedanta. Chitta Shuddhi for what? Again, don't say moksha directly. Vijay, Purida, straight away don't jump. Karma Yoga for Chitta Shuddhi. Then you ask, Chitta Shuddhi for what? Chitta Shuddhi to understand Vedanta. Once you understand Vedanta, moksha becomes the goal. That's the sequence. Are you able to follow? So, Karma Yoga for Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi for understanding Vedanta. Even without Chitta Shuddhi, you can understand Vedanta. That is just an intellectual entertainment. All that we are doing in all the classes is intellectual entertainment, that's all. Somebody gets emotionally entertained, somebody gets a movie and go and entertain. We come to classes and get entertained, that's all. So, Vedanta without Karma Yoga is intellectual entertainment. 2,000 people will come for a lecture. Not all 2,000 are seekers of knowledge. They are seekers of entertainment. Amongst those seekers of entertainment, one or two will get attuned to the process. What is the process? Karma Yoga, Chitta Shuddhi, understand Vedanta, Moksha. So in Karma Yoga, what is he saying here? The starting point of it is by Karma Yoga, you will attain Chitta Shuddhi. And Karma Yoga will give Chitta Shuddhi only when Shraddha backs it. Shraddha comes only in relation to Adrishta. Shraddha is not related to Drishta. What is Drishta and Adrishta? A simple example. You go to IIT, you go to Stanford, you go to Oxford, you will get a job. Is it Drishta or Adrishta? Huh? Vijay, Drishta, Adrishta. That is Drishta. You study Vedanta, you will become a better person. Drishta or Adrishta? Adrishta. Why? Because no change is happening in you. No changes is happening around those who have been studying and doing all this also. So, Shraddha comes in the area of Adrishta. Shraddha comes only in the area of Adrishta. And Karma Yoga is all related to Adrishta. Why? Because the karma is Adrishta, the karma pala is Adrishta, the Chitta Shuddhi is Adrishta, everything is Adrishta and related to Karma Yoga. You follow? Ravana did tapas consistently. Hiranyakashipu did tapas consistently. But they don't develop Chitta Shuddhi. Just because a person is consistent doesn't mean Chitta Shuddhi will come, Shraddha will happen. Are you able to follow? It means karma is different, Karma Yoga is different. There is a difference between karma and Karma Yoga. When does karma turns into Karma Yoga? Karma turns into Karma Yoga when Shraddha comes in towards an Adrishta phala. Otherwise, it is just karma. By now, you should be familiar with at least the formula verses you should be familiar. In karma, there is kramanasha. In Karma Yoga, there is no kramanasha. You should remember these formulas. Neha vikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate salpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Verse number 40, chapter 2. In karma, there is a nasha. In Karma Yoga, there is no nasha. In karma, there is a nasha, means there is a loss. There is a loss. In Karma Yoga, there is no loss. It means you do not experience it, but you believe because it is said in the Shastra. Therefore, Shraddha comes in. So, karma turns into Karma Yoga. When does karma turns into Karma Yoga? When karma is done for Chitta Shuddhi, karma turns into Karma Yoga. Remember, for Chitta Shuddhi, we are talking about karma. Huh? For Chitta Shuddhi, we are not talking about listening to discourses. Remember that always. For Chitta Shuddhi, we are not talking about listening to discourses. For Chitta Shuddhi, we are talking about karma. Karma. That's where, to give an example, we give that example. A business person, if he does business for Chitta Shuddhi, then the act of doing business becomes Karma Yoga. When a person does business for the sake of inner purification, that act of doing business becomes Karma Yoga. Otherwise, it is ordinary. Otherwise, it is just karma. That's all. You follow? A person teaching, if the teaching is for Chitta Shuddhi, then this teaching becomes Karma Yoga. Otherwise, it is just ordinary karma. Ordinary karma will result in what? Punya and Papa, not Chitta Shuddhi. Ordinary action have two results. What are the two results of ordinary action? Punya and Papa. Punya means a blissful state of mind. Papa means an agitated state of mind. So karma will result in agitation, what we call as sin, mental agitations, Papa. Therefore, karma turns into Karma Yoga. When does karma turn into Karma Yoga? Whatever you do, that doing is dedicated to Chitta Shuddhi. While doing, it is Arpana Buddhi. While doing, it is Arpana Buddhi. For result, it is Prasada Buddhi. When success comes, Anugraha Buddhi. You should remember all this. That is why in chapter 2, Krishna calls Karma Yoga as Buddhi Yoga. See, in verse number 39, he introduces Karma Yoga as Buddhi Yoga in chapter 2. There, we use the word, how can we interpret Buddhi Yoga as Karma Yoga? But then we interpret, isn't it? So, while doing the action, it is while doing the action, it is Arpana Buddhi. In relation to the result of the action, it is Prasada Buddhi. Because you may get less than what you want, more than what you want, exactly what you want, the opposite of what you want, Ellam Prasada Buddhi. When it meets with success, what do? It's blessings. It's Anugraha. Therefore, 3 words is what determines attitude. Arpana, Prasada, Anugraha. If this attitude is backing the action, that results in inner purification. Because we have to say how it brings Chitta Shuddhi. That has to be explained, no? And there is an explanation for it. How does it bring Chitta Shuddhi? By this attitude. What is attitude? Arpana, Prasada, Anugraha. They say Guru Prasada or Guru Anugraha. Deva Anugraha. Guru Anugraha. Anugraha means you are blessed. This attitude is what is called Chitta Shuddhi. Are you able to follow? When you are established in this attitude, a person established in this attitude is what is called inner purification, Chitta Shuddhi. And this Chitta Shuddhi brings about a clarity. And the clarity is required to understand what Vedanta is saying. What is Vedanta saying? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Or you can take it as Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Aham Brahmasmi. This is what we get, isn't it? Billion times we can hear, still nothing will be still nothing will be understood from all these things. Why? Because there is a block. There is a block. Karma Yoga removes that block. That Karma Yoga removes that block. So karma means action in your field of activity with these three buddhis. Action in your field of activities with these three buddhi. It means in whatever be the field of activity, you can practice all the three, no? You can do business, you can be a politician, you can be an economist, you can be a laborer, you can be anybody, and still all beings can practice these things. What? Arpana Buddhi, which is what Swamiji keeps calling it as dedicated to a higher ideal, dedicated. He keeps saying no. What is dedication? Arpana Buddhi is dedication. Arpana Buddhi is what is called dedication. So he keeps saying, dedicate your actions to dedicate your actions. What is dedication? Use the Sanskrit word, it's easy to understand. Arpanam. It's Arpana Buddhi. It's Arpana Buddhi. You are dedicating it. You are offering it. Second is Prasada Buddhi. Prasada Buddhi in relation to the four types of result. When failure comes, Prasada Buddhi, and success comes, I did that. When failure comes, Prasada Buddhi, when success comes, humbly I am saying, it's all my hard work, sir. I'm not saying it with any arrogance or anything. Out of very, very humbly I am saying, all this is my effort. Will you say that? No. Anugraha Buddhi. So it is Anugraha, it is Prasada, it is Arpana. This attitude is what is called Chitta Shuddhi, self-purification. Is it okay, Anshu? Yeah. So, to understand it in one sentence, the bird will be complacent in the cage as long as it doesn't realize that it is a bird. Frog in the well, no. Remember that, frog in the well. Isn't it? The cousin came from the ocean and said, no, get out of the well, then you can see the ocean. Now the frog in the well is asking, how big is your ocean? And it can only multiply. It can only multiply with the size of the well only. Isn't it? For it knows only the well and it can multiply only in terms of the well. So it asked, is your ocean 100 times bigger than the well? What will you say? No, don't talk, don't know. Not no. Million times bigger than the well? Zillion times bigger than the well? There is no comparison at all. The frog in the well will say, such a thing cannot exist. Such a thing cannot exist. Even if you say it is million times the well, still it can understand. Billion times the well, it can understand. But if you say that it's not even a drop, the water in the well is not even a drop, the frog cannot understand. For to understand it, it requires a unique mindset. That unique mindset that will make you to understand this is called Chitta Shuddhi. Is it okay, Anshu? Yeah. Next question.
Who is the next? Anshu, you are posting the next question as well? Okay.
Yes.
Verse number 41. What is he saying in verse number 41? Please explain how can practical wisdom be lost? We understand that wisdom once gained cannot be lost. Only theoretical knowledge is lost. Now, it is said that it is the okay. You are asking from the word jnana, vijnana, nashanam. He says knowledge gets destroyed and wisdom also gets destroyed. When you are mentally agitated, what happens? The mental agitations makes you lose access to knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom, you use it both. Now, the question is, in relation to knowledge, it is understandable, but how can wisdom be lost? Wisdom cannot be lost. Wisdom can never be lost. But again, what you got to understand in this context here, who is the person that he is referring to? Not the one who is absolutely, not the one who is absolutely established. He's talking about the person who is battling to get established. So he's talking about a karma yogi who is struggling to get established. Since here is a person who is struggling to get established, within his spectrum of growth, he will not lose that wisdom. But anything outside of that, he is very vulnerable. Again, within a small spectrum, he is very wise. He will not lose it. But anything outside of that, he is very vulnerable. And this small spectrum of wisdom cannot help him to overcome the other. Are you able to follow? Therefore, he says, jnana vijnana nashanam tasmat indriyanyado niyamya bharatarshapa apmanam prajahihyenam jnana vijnana nashanam. Jnanam vijnanam is technically called paroksha and aparoksha. One level of interpreting knowledge and wisdom is how we do it. The other way of the secondary layer, the deeper layer of explaining this jnanam and vijnanam is, in the classic Vedantic terminology, the Upanishadic terminology, it will be called paroksha jnanam and aparoksha jnanam. Paroksha jnanam means there is the world, there is me, and God is different from these two. This is paroksha jnana. There is the world, and there is this me, and then there is something, the third entity called God. That is one. Aparoksha jnanam is there are moments where you will be so inspired by the thought. What is the thought? I am the Atma in the temporary medium called body. Sometimes you get very inspired by this thought, no? You are inspired. If you are inspired, why are you not able to hold on to it? That's what he calls by jnana vijnana nashanam. He is not talking about completely established and then losing it. If you are completely established, you can never ever lose it. But what he is talking about as vijnana nashanam is, there are moments of inspiration. You see, like you study the you study the mantra Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. It is so inspiring. That inspiration is what he is called as Vijnanam. And that you can lose. Why are you not able to hold on to it and be in that Ascharya state? If you are able to hold on to it for a long period of time, you are in the state of Ascharya, wonderment, isn't it? What he means by Vijnana Nashanam is you lose that Aparoksha Jnana. Why you lose it? Because of the previous in the same verse he gives the answer. The senses. This is a way of analysis where to explain the glory of, to explain how senses are so dangerous, exaggeratedly it is said wisdom can be lost. Remember that. What he is trying to say here is trying to say how senses are dangerous. When he wants to establish that senses are is that dangerous, how to say that? Jnana Vijnana Nashanam. When it is said that the weak senses will make your wisdom to go, then there is an alertness. That's all. Then there is an alertness. So technically speaking, wisdom can never be lost. Here he is not saying you will lose your wisdom. He is saying the senses. The senses. Because in Karma Yoga, the first enemy is the senses, the second enemy is Ragadvesha. The two enemies. One is the Indriyas, senses. The second is Ragadvesha. Even though on paper it is correct that controlling Ragadvesha will bring a sense control on paper, theoretically it is like that, but in practical sadhana, you cannot start with Ragadvesha control and come to sense control. You have to start with sense control and go to Ragadvesha control. Therefore, he wants to highlight it. When you want to highlight something, one way of highlighting it is saying it is so dangerous that the best thing will go.
Exactly.
He gives it he wants to communicate that. The point here is not wisdom can be lost. That is not the point here. The point is how dangerous it is to an extent where your wisdom can be lost. Why? Because one obsession is enough. Ravana. That's why if you want to understand sense control, you got to remember Ravana. In so many aspects, superior to Rama. In so many aspects, Ravana was superior to Rama, but not in one aspect. That one vital aspect made Rama superior to Ravana. What? That dharma. And what is dharma means in a human being? Dharma in a human being is the senses and the mind are voluntarily controlled. That is dharma. What is dharma of a human being? Voluntary control of senses and the mind. In the case of the other species, there is no voluntary control. Nature controls. Nature controls. For example, Suddenly they realize, imagine the scenario. Ashram means they should be deers. Who said ashram means they should be deers? God only knows. But they, in the movies and all, they show. Ashram means there should be deers, there should be peacocks. In those days, all Gurukulas were in the forest, and in the forest, deer were there. They didn't grow deer in the ashram. They were just hanging around, that's all. Since it was hanging around, they kept on feeding it, that's all. So there is no growth there. Nobody was growing deer and peacock in the ashram. And all the deers were fit. You bring the deer and put it in an ashram, in 3 years, all deers will become obese. Why?
No predators.
In the natural way, the deer will be fit only when the tiger is there. In the ashram where there is no tiger, what the deer will do? It loses itself. Are you able to follow? So there is a natural control. That's why supplement and complement is kept in nature, so that both helps each other. In the case of a human being, what does dharma means? There is no supplement, complement and all that. It is only a voluntary control. Discipline, when it is voluntary, it is called tapas. Voluntary discipline is called tapas. When discipline is forced, it is slavery, bondage. When discipline is forced, it's a kind of bondage, slavery. When same thing is picked up voluntarily, it is called tapas. Therefore, what is he saying here? The senses are so dangerous because there is no protection, and if it is not voluntarily brought under control, what will happen? It will destroy. What it will destroy? A wise person also can fall. Vishwamitra. We talk about the story of Vishwamitra, isn't it? All Puranic stories talks about Indra getting jealous, isn't it? Indra getting jealous and Indra getting frightened. Why will Indra get frightened? Because even Indra doesn't have sense control and all. He's indulging. When somebody is practicing that self-control and all that, he can acquire a status higher than Indra. He becomes better than Indra. Therefore, Anshu, wisdom is not lost. Wisdom can never be lost. What he means by wisdom here is there are moments of inspiration, there are moments of sincerity, there are moments of dedication. All that will be lost. All that is lost. It means what is the power of the senses. So here the comparison is to explain the power of the senses, not to say wisdom will be lost. Are you okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Next question. Verse 41. Therefore, O Bharatrishabha, controlling first the senses, indeed kill the sinful destroyer of knowledge and wisdom. From the class lecture. Senses neutralize fast. One gets bored. But mind takes more time to neutralize compared to senses. Intellect takes even longer to neutralize compared to mind. Please explain. Whose class lectures?
Yours.
Okay. Lecture. I'm wondering, because there are so many people here lecturing. I don't know who's, maybe Shailesh's lecture, I don't know, maybe Rajini's lecture. I was wondering whose lecture. Okay. Subtler the instrument, longer the time it takes to get bored. Sensual indulgences senses gets gratified quickly, boredom also comes quickly because instant gratification. Are you able to follow? In the hierarchy of the instruments, senses are the grossest. Since they are the grossest, they tend to get neutralized very fast. Repeated contacts, that's all. Compared to that, mind. Third mango, you will get neutralized very fast. But you can listen to some of the songs for years together, no? Some of the songs you can keep listening for years together, isn't it? But definitely you will get neutralized to that also one day. But the longevity of it, are you able to follow? Because of the subtlety of the instrument. Third, intellect. Much longer it takes for the intellect to get neutralized. Why? Because of the permutations and combinations that it can get in anything and everything. It doesn't get, it takes that long to get bored. For example, a movie song, a romantic song is an emotional entertainment. A classical music is an intellectual entertainment. Again, I repeat the difference. Both are music. You listen to a film song. That is also music. That is also the raga. That is also entertainment. But you will get bored very fast. In the case of a classical music, you don't get bored very fast because understanding itself takes that long. No? When understanding itself takes that long, entertainment will be for much longer. Are you able to follow now? It means what? Anything that is instant, you will get neutralized very fast. It's a law. It's a law based on the subtlety of the instruments. You follow? Crossword. There are people who can do crossword every day, no? Obviously not the same crossword, new things, but that sheer intellectual application. The sheer intellectual application gets much longer. But definitely they'll get neutralized to that also one day. Definitely there is a neutralization because nature of instruments is to get bored, neutralized. That doesn't change. What changes is the time. Senses get bored very fast. How much ever you like the sweet, third sweet you can't have, no? How much ever you like mangoes, third mango, even if Narayan send it in baskets, cartons he will send the mangoes, not in basket. He will send mangoes in cartons, he will send mangoes. You can't eat third mango, you will get neutralized. But then mangoes don't understand that, no. All will become fruit at the same time. Now, how much can you eat now? Supposing the mango says, okay, today I will ripen today. 3 days later, the next one. 5th day later, the next one. Oh my God. How nice it will be, isn't it? All will come as the raw mango and all will ripen at the same. But how much can you eat? You get neutralized very fast. Emotions takes a much longer time to get bored, neutralized. Intellectual joys are stays much longer. Why? The quality is different. That's why. The quality of the senses is gross. The quality of the mind is subtle. The quality of the intellect is subtlest. Subtlest means it's very refined. Longevity also is more. It's very refined and the longevity also is more. You can eat chili, but then you can't eat for the stomach to become all right to take any food will take 1 week, no? Isn't it? The longevity of it is not great, which is what I said in the class. I don't know in what flow I said that. I don't remember that, but the formula is, the principle is this: subtler the instrument, subtler the joy, longevity will be more. Is it okay, ma?
Yes, sir.
Are we done?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Sir, extending that question, answer to this question,
Yeah.
can we then say that causal body,
Yes.
vasana, will take janmas to neutralize?
Yes. That's why vasanas don't get exhausted that easily, no. It keeps coming back again and again and again, it keeps coming back. If he says, I am bored, I'll just leave and go now, we all will be relieved very soon. But it doesn't happen because of the sheer quality of the instrument. The senses, the mind, the intellect. You solve a mathematical problem, what a joy it gives. You eat a chocolate, it gives you a joy. You share the chocolate, emotional, greater joy. You solve a mathematical problem. Oh my God, you can't. No, these two joys can never compare to that joy, isn't it? Because you are breaking your head with the problem for 3 days. You are breaking your head with the problem for 3 months, and the solution comes. What they call as the eureka moment, isn't it? The eureka moment is intellectual joy. Understanding is the comparison. You can eat a chocolate, there is a joy. You can sacrifice a chocolate for the child, and the child eating it, looking at the child eating it, you get an emotional joy. Quality is better. Intellectual joy, supreme most. Also, boredom will take much longer. Even the child that is craving for chocolate will start nauseating and vomiting at the 3rd chocolate, no? Those time chocolates means one small size eclairs chocolate is one chocolate you can manage, isn't it? Nowadays the chocolate is like a brick size, isn't it? One chocolate is like one brick it is. What do you do with that? You bring in that, you breaking it itself is a. Now the child loves the chocolate so much, craves for the chocolate. The young, vibrant, active child's senses also gets neutralized that fast. Are you able to follow? It's not the old person's senses we are talking about. The vibrant, young, craving, child senses will get neutralized that fast. It means the very nature of senses is that. Is it okay, Anshu?
Yes, sir.
Any other question from anybody else?
So just a question, it just comes to my mind.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned earlier, that this could be just an intellectual entertainment, is it? I hope not.
Yeah, it is not. I'm just saying, if we are not careful, it will become that. If we were not careful, it will It will become that. See, there are so many people talking on Vedanta. They go into so scholarly dissection, so scholarly elaboration, and all that. Oh my God. Some of the bhashyas, if you read, you don't feel like you can't keep the book down. It's like the thriller novel, you can't keep it. It's like so enchanting, so enchanting. Beautiful it is. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukran Karne. It will not help you. Therefore, if we are not careful, the mind, what is the formula? This is the formula. The mind has a very unique ability, capacity to indulge in everything that it comes in contact with, including knowledge, spirituality, anything that you come in contact with, the mind has this unique ability to get to indulge. It has this unique ability to get attached. It has the unique ability to indulge. Therefore, we say, let it not become a entertainment. In this classroom, it is very difficult to get into this intellectual entertainment because we don't intellectualize it so much, even though it looks like intellectually, because we don't know what intellectualization is. If you want to understand what intellectualization means, just take Aurobindo's books and read. Take Aurobindo's commentary. Rabindranath Tagore and Aurobindo both came from Bengal. You know that, no? Both are from Bengal. And Rabindranath Tagore was given the Nobel Prize for his Gitanjali. Aurobindo wrote a magnum opus, Savitri. Tagore says, world cannot understand Savitri. That's why Gitanjali was given the award, he said. He said, the world cannot understand Savitri. That's why Nobel Prize was given to Gitanjali, which is my work. Now, hearing that, I tried that. Because of little bit of Sanskrit language also I know. Tried reading this. God, what an intellectual exercise it is. And Savitri and all cannot be translated in English. There's no English translations to my knowledge. I don't know. Maybe it is available now. I don't know. I'm talking about 35 years back. I don't know. Somebody attempted his Isavasi Upanishad commentary in English. I read that also. Ganesh, one sentence will be 1 page. Comma. Where it will vary or now full stop you can go. No, it is like it's one whole page is one sentence it is. Intellection it is. You get addicted to that. Oh, it's a problem. Bhashyas are like that. Some of the bhashyams, some of the commentaries are like that. It is so intellectually enticing, addictive. Here we try to strike a balance. We try to go into the roots a little bit. We try to elaborate it a little bit. At the same time, we don't try to keep it so intellectual. At least I bring in a little bit of entertainment and all. Classic Vedantic way of teaching is Swamiji's teaching. Just say 2-3 things again and again and again. Then where the listeners get where the listeners will get completely bored and fall off to sleep. It doesn't matter. He will keep repeating it. That's the classic way of doing it. That's the classic way. But then he doesn't have the problem of having to keep the group entertained and all. Now I have the problem of entertaining the group also. No. So I go into a little bit of elaboration, details and all that. But even here, it is not intellectual. But in this also a person can get lost and miss it. That's what we are saying. You follow?
Yes,
Yeah?
sir. Yes.
Yeah. With this we conclude.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.